Ladies and gentlemen, good evening. 8 p.m. can mean only one thing. It is the Online Darts Live Lounge for episode 241. Myself, Phil Bars, Dan Simpson, and our guests are already in nice and early. It is our compatriots from across the pond. It is Peter Citera and Anthony Eugenia from the CDC. Gentlemen, how are we?
Hey-o!
Hey.
What a time to be alive. We are starting off with an absolute bang this evening. We will come to the chat room shortly, don't worry. But Anthony is on a strict curfew. He has things to do, but he wasn't turning us down tonight. So we have made it work as always. Right, let's just jump straight in, gentlemen. Your season is about to get underway. How excited are you?
I couldn't be more excited, Phil. Pardon me, my voice is absolutely shot, so I'll let Anthony do most of the talking today. But really excited that we're going to be at $250,000 in payouts. Really excited. The Cross-Border Darts Challenge going to Newfoundland. We're going to talk about that, I'm sure. And it's just going to be an amazing year. We've already sold north of 600 tickets for the Cross-Border Darts Challenge, which I know doesn't sound a lot if you're coming from the UK, but it shattered every record for an exclusive North American event. And we're only going up from here.
Yeah, look, it's massive news, Anthony. You must be delighted.
Yeah, I mean, I'll echo Pete's, sentiments in that, we've believed for quite a few years now that like this is the year. This is the year. We for the last couple of years we've chiseled increases every year, tried to bring something new, and but I'll be quite frank, it now feels that everybody is at that same mindset that like this is the big year for North America. This is a big year for the championship dart circuit, for the corporation, for the players. As you said, the cross borders right around the corner, an expanded Continental Cup, and in between, a just fantastic circuit that is going to be jam-packed with competition, and as Pete said, a very substantial prize money increase. So we think that there really is it's an absolute no-brainer that this is the place to be now in North America.
Yeah, Sisyphus, I think, has finally gotten the boulder up to the top of the hill. We're going to push it over, and then it's going to start feeding on itself. So, I mean, you heard me over Christmas, Phil, and we had our interview. You heard me say the next stop is 300 and then 500,000. We will get there. I'm not putting a timeline on it. I've learned my lesson on timelines, but we will get there.
Yeah, no, look, it's incredible, and the hard work is now paying off, which is unbelievable. And the passion that you two speak with, is this a real breakthrough moment for you guys?
Absolutely. I've made the joke. I've said it to you. I've said it in a bunch of interviews that we are now 12 years into a 3-year plan, right? And in fairness, the initial 3 years were difficult, right? We had to get the darts right, then we had to get the broadcast right. Now we've got all the pieces of the puzzle together. We re-signed with the PDC for 3 years, for another 3 years. We've gotten the payouts to where you've never seen them before. It really does feel like that achieving the next milestone is going to be easier now than going from year 3 to year 5, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Have those 3-year plans, those never-ending 3-year plans that you mentioned there, is it something that now, 12 years in, you can look back on and think, well, because what the 3-year plan must look like now, when you look to what years 2 and 3 could potentially look like and what your goals are, does that seem almost so disconnected from 12 years ago? How far you've actually come, and what are now, things that back then might have been completely wild thoughts, but are now quite achievable goals that you've got in front of you.
Yeah, I'll speak from the business perspective and let Anthony then chime in here as well. Just from the business perspective, Dan, if you'd have told me after year 1 that we were going to be here, 12 years later, I would have told you were probably smoking something fun. Really, it was touch and go the first couple of years. Mm-hmm. And Anthony will provide color. It was touch and go the first couple of years, right? And we were fighting headwinds, not just from the fact that the darts in North America at the time was at its nadir, right? Like it was just lingering in the doldrums. but then we also were fighting the players and the skeptics just naturally. Anything new, well, it's going to fail. It's going to fail. It's going to fail. These guys don't know what they're doing. It's going to, you know what? It didn't fail. We didn't let it fail. We won't let it fail, because quitting and failure is not something that we entertain in this company.
Shout out there to superfan Stacy, who's listening in. I appreciate her support. Support always. Yeah, I really want to jump on like Pete's last point. Like, we wouldn't let it fail, and to a certain degree, that was part of to a detriment, right? We just, we were so dedicated to this. As you guys know, we love this, along with our founding partner, L. David Irie. This is a lifelong thing for us. And then as we picked up, everyone else on our staff and a new partner, Jeff Good. But the three of us that founded this thing, like, this isn't just a fly-by-night thing. This is in our bones. And we were determined. We had a vision on how it should be done right. Now, as with a lot of things, if it was totally left up to us, we may not have seen some of the things that came down the road that have now transpired in terms of international opportunities and things. And then there's other things that we had hoped to achieve that we haven't yet in terms of broadcast deals. A lot more, exposure in terms of, channels and broadcasting. We've done a great job. I think we've got all of those pieces rounded off to where it is the time. Our broadcast is ready to go. Our darts are ready to go. And the other piece from my perspective on why I keep feeling that this is sort of a breakthrough year, as you said, Phil, in that along the way, people have wanted different things. Early on, we put on our championship and did the best we could to substantiate what we were doing with the circuit, and that led to the belief and trust from the PDC, and that led to some PDC opportunities, right? But along the way, you get people that some are super happy and they're shooting for all the PDC stuff, and then others grumble, well, it should be about us here, and then vice versa. If you do it just here and you can't go anywhere. Now I think we finally got something to where there's some really extremely big opportunities to go play PDC darts, which carry cachet, opportunities, and money. But you also have an opportunity each and every event to play for a $13,000 prize pool. I don't want to let it out of the bag. A good prize pool coming up for the Continental Cup. It's expanded. So there's a lot of opportunities now, both here domestically and internationally. And that's why I kind of feel that we've now got those scales at a really even place, that we really should be able to supply, any desire of a player here in North America.
Whoa, forget Peter's there. Let it out the bag. Pretend he's not there. Come on, let it.
It'll be a tad bit over $20,000, let's just say, for the Continental Cup. Which is an increase.
Tease there, didn't you, Eugenia? You had to give him a tease.
So what effect is that having, gents? On obviously, like, we know that you've got, not only have you got some engagement, you've got a good level of engagement from players, but you've also got a good level of engagement from really good players as well. This isn't just hobbyists that want to turn up and have a go. You've got a real good level of player, and is being able to further expand the prize money that's on offer, is that the real key to those players you have being able to commit more to it? They can spend more time practicing, they can justify a few extra days off work to commit to darts, and then attracting more people towards it as well. How important is that?
Sure. I think that the prize money is key to anything in this game, right? The PDC proved that if you put enough money and invest enough money and pay out enough money, that you can put a product that is unsurpassed in the world, right? So we understand the need, and that's why you hear me continue to talk about it in every interview I give. We need to continue giving back to the players. We need to continue raising the bar. But it's more than just the player part, Dan. In the United States, and I mean, I guess to a lesser extent in the Western world, but in the United States especially, it's, well, how much is it? Prize fund. What's the prize fund? And that also gets eyeballs in places that we want to get eyeballs, right? It's not just that we've gotten the top level player. If you look at our metrics on social media, if you look at our engagement on social media, our posts, if you look at the chatter, we've also captured fans. And that really is the key to growth, to that stratospheric growth that all of us want to see. We need to not only get the best of the best players, which I think we have at this point, right? We also need to cultivate and bring the fans along. And that's proven a little bit more difficult than I thought it would be. I was more optimistic that American culture was ready for darts. I think clearly, if you look at Madison Square Garden, it's becoming ready. We're getting the buzz. We're getting some media attention. But again, the same thing you fight with that is you fight it here is the brevity of the news cycle. So yeah, you might be hot today, but then tomorrow the NHL playoffs are on, or Major League Baseball starting, or somebody in the NBA got in a kerfluffle with a reporter, or whatever, and all of a sudden all the momentum is gone. So you have to then keep coming back and keep getting in consciousness. So it's not just increasing the payouts. Eventually, it's going to be commensurately increasing the number of events as well, because that then also leads to further success. And bottom line, we need to start seeing some results on the international stage. We need our players to start making the later rounds of the World Championships. I'm not looking for a World Championship now. I said we're going to have a World Championship, a World Champion from this continent by 2021. I was clearly a fool, but we need to show that we are progressing that way, and players will be more comfortable the more chances they have to beat up on each other and get themselves in that competitive mindset.
Something that you said there, is there a little bit of internal rivalry between the associate tours then? Because for a long time, you guys have been seen as the flagship tour. However, we obviously had Joe Comito do it this year. We've had the Asians steal the stage as well. So is there a little bit of internal rivalry between the affiliate tours?
I will say we are all pulling on the same end of the rope. I have a very good relationship with all of the other affiliate tour directors. Do we have some needling, especially amongst us in Nordic and Baltic? Sure. Dean Moss loves to give me grief. At some point, he owes me a steak. But yes, I mean, at the end of the day, if there is anything, it's all friendly. We all realize that it's a global game, and we all have to do our part to make it better.
It is all friendly, but let's be fair. We all want to be in Daddy's best graces, right? So we want to be the favorite stepchild.
No, look, I love that. I love that because rivalry is a good thing. Because if someone else is doing something good, that you want to do it better. So
Indeed.
I think that's healthy in any sport and any competition. Shall we say? Right. And on that, I'm going to the elephant in the room. The WDF Masters has been announced. Now, your dates were out first. How annoyed and pissed off were you when that news dropped? Not that it's going to Vegas, but more importantly, it clashes with your weekend.
I'm going to let Anthony lead with this, and then I'll mop up some stuff at the end.
I don't want to touch this. No,
I don't think you say anything worse than we've already said on here. You can't make it worse.
I know I haven't. I don't. Pete has more to say diplomatically in terms of scheduling. I see it as from a dart fan perspective, like you guys have talked about, that you kind of want the WDF to finally sort of hit the right note, and I'm not sure that this is it. So from an overall darting standpoint, you want another good offering for the players. So it's a disappointment that there'll be a clash for a good amount of players.
Yeah, and look, you all saw I put a very public comment out there when it was announced. Gracious, but it felt at the time like an unforced error on their part. It really did. I have a good relationship with Buddy Bartoletta. We actually had a phone call about 4 days after it was announced, where it was kind of a, shall we say, come to Jesus meeting. Look, we need in the United States and Canada especially, we need a strong amateur game. I mean, you need it over there too, right? But we need to have those people finding themselves in the amateur side of the sport. And we are not the amateur side of the sport. We are the professional side of the sport. So if you don't have development, you're not, eventually we're going to wither and die. So me saying that the WDF is, it needs to go away or make some ridiculous statement like that is totally counterproductive with what we're trying to do with the state of the landscape in North America. Buddy, sorry, and we had a pretty heated conversation. I was a little bit upset about it because if we'd had the conversation, we could have it. Look, it's one of their biggest event weekends of the year, right? It's a headline event. If it's a choice between, I don't want our players to have to make choices. I'm willing to look at moving a weekend to accommodate them, but they have to then notify me first because I got like a week's notice. But of course, at that point, the schedule's been out for a while, right? And then Buddy and I didn't talk until after the announcement. To Buddy's credit, we've aligned. It was a really good conversation, and I think that we're on the same side, the same page right now.
And quickly, I want to add on for those uninitiated into how this stuff works, and to like Pete's credit, it's not just a date. There's contracts already signed and negotiated with hotels and venues and things. So that makes that lift all that more difficult. It's not just simply saying, "Hey, we'll find something else in the month." Things are already dry in terms of contractual agreements.
They're conversations that are ideally had the year before, aren't they? This is when we're thinking of doing this, and this is when because again, what nobody wants to see. I mean, you guys can speak from, on behalf of your tour and your events, from a pure fan perspective. There's two things I don't ever want. I don't want the quality of any tournament to be eroded. I want to see in every tournament that's available, the best quality players that can play in it. And the other thing that I don't think is good for any event or any player is a victory that has an asterisk next to it. You've won, you won, but there's the big list of players that weren't there. And I just think everybody wants to see the best events possible.
I wholeheartedly agree with that, Dan. But the flip side of that coin, because I've had that argument used against us. Yeah, but, especially in the early years. Look, you can only beat the people in front of you. You can only beat the room that's there. And it deserves to be said, because if I were to have succumbed to the argument you made, and I think it's a valid argument, but if we would have succumbed to the valid argument you made earlier about that, there being an asterisk, then our entire tour at the time would have been invalid because we didn't have all of the biggest names. We had some of them. Look, we couldn't have launched this thing without the trust of guys like Larry Butler and John Parton, Darren Young, and DJ Sayre. We couldn't have, right? We needed them to make us legitimate. But it wasn't a who's who of darts at the time. It was top guys and a bunch of players who wanted to get better. Now we truly do have the best room in North America. So I just wanted to get that out there.
Yeah, I think you always had the best room you had available, though. That's the key. Is it's you had it's the best room that was available to you, and that I think is what everybody wants, or everybody wants the best room that's available to them. And sometimes it just needs grown-ups having a conversation, but it's got to be done, like you say, it's got to be done early. There's no point speaking after it's been, the contracts are signed and the hotel's booked and everyone's travel's booked, and it's too late to unpick at that point, isn't it?
And I appreciate the fact that their event evolved, I think, more slowly than they'd want. I don't want to, give up any of the conversation, but and then it was slow, and then boom, it happened, right? And I think that there might have been an element of, well, we're so focused on the minutia that we lose sight of the big picture. And let's face it, everybody's been a victim of that at some point.
Yeah, I was going to say that we can certainly empathize with that. There are projects you struggle, you're mightily trying to put together, and you know this thing exists, but you just can't say anything until it breathes life. And then you put it out and it's wonderful, but it's like, wow, it's too late and you should have been announced earlier. And, sometimes you just can't say anything until it's ready.
That's right. Neil Duff let the cat out of the bag a couple of weeks ago when he said Ireland were trying to get it before it went to Vegas. So he let the cat out of the bag anyway, that it was potentially going there. Look, everything that's gone on within the CDC, you must be delighted with, but there are some other flagship things coming up. Like we say, we are going to Canada for the first time for a major. Ticket sales have gone incredibly well. Is this the blueprint that we're going to see more often now, that the majors split between both the States and Canada, do you feel?
I've said for many years, there is a very vocal contingent of, I want to call them fanamies, that really love our stuff, but like to roast us about not being in Canada for major events. There are business needs that have to be fulfilled. I have said for many years that we owed a major event to Canada. I've been consistent about that. But it just because I feel that way doesn't mean the landscape makes sense. International business is different than, especially when you're talking about bringing in, external lighting contracts and production contracts and venue contracts. It's totally different internationally than it is in a single country. Yes, we've had tour events up there, but that's a totally different ball game. So the answer to your question is, I hope that this continues. I can see this being some sort of regular occurrence. Am I going to commit to it being, 1-1? I can't commit to that now, but I sure think that we'd like to eventually get there.
So, MSG, we are going back to the wonderful city of New York once again. Are you pleased that a sensible conclusion was found to the issuing of the England game in the World Cup?
And take that.
Oh, yeah. I certainly think, we heard, rumblings that it was coming down the pipe, and, it was amazing to watch everybody with their fingers crossed when the draw and scheduling was done for the FIFA World Cup, that don't put England on the East Coast, and, sure enough, boom, they land not only across the river, but the very weekend. There was swaths of other dates that could have, but sure enough, the finals evening of the U.S. Masters. So there was just no choice. The PDC had no choice but to move that. That was not going to be a feasible option to leave that there. So that Thursday, Friday, I think it will, everybody will have time to adjust, settle in a little bit. Phil, everybody gets there, and hopefully if you take enough time off of work, it has a holiday feel to it anyway, so Thursday at the Garden is going to be a rip-roaring time as well. Adjustments will be made, and I would imagine it would lend itself to some additional things going on around the city for that weekend. Maybe you'll see players pop up in different places to do different events, so so maybe it'll spawn some more fun things around the city. But I think that was the most optimal change that they could have went into Thursday night and then into a 2-session Friday.
I had a number of conversations with Matt about that situation, right? Especially when the time of the game came out, because not only is it on the Saturday of what would be the normal finishing of the U.S. Darts Masters, but it's also at 5 p.m. So you can't do an AM session or an afternoon session, and you can't do an evening session. It falls literally right in the middle. And so, let's face it, what are the choices? Cancel it. Nobody wants to cancel it. Do you go Friday, Sunday? Sure, but then you're paying for a dead day at MSG, and that gets really expensive. I think it's the only logical solution. And there is a silver lining here. And that silver lining is that while it is incredibly expensive now for domestic players to travel, and lodging is expensive, we do have an innate built-in audience that's going to be here. And so the dynamic of ticket sales might change a bit. I'll let Matt speak to that when you talk to him next. I'm sure he will. The dynamic of ticket sales might change a bit, but the venue is still going to be full, and it's still going to feel electric. And that's, that it could be the luck of that we got. You know what I mean?
Yeah, 100%. We've got some questions for you guys as well from the chat room. Warren asks, will Matt Campbell be returning to the CDC tour after losing his tour card? Have you had those conversations with Matt?
I had a number of conversations with Matt. I'm not going to speak for Matt. Matt has a tour card. He has an invite, and it is up to him if he wants to register. I hope he does. I think he's leaning that way, but I can't commit for a player. I'd love to see him back. He is, when Matt Campbell is playing at his best, he is a top 32, top 24 player in the world. To not want that in your organization would just be foolish. So I hope he comes back. But I can't say that he's going to or not. It's totally up to him.
No, I get that. And this is one for kind of both of you. He says, do you think we'll ever get to a place, and are we closer to this than ever, that the winner of the CDC Order of Merit gets a tour card automatically, like other affiliate tours and so on, and associate tours and so on?
Oh yeah, I mean, Pete will give you the more official thing, but I'll give you the off the handle answer. Absolutely, I think that's way. I think, and this is not any like truly nothing behind the scenes sort of thing. Just what I feel in my bones and conversations. I think that is way closer than anybody's gonna believe. Like, yeah, I think that is completely around the corner, like right around the corner.
And is it something that you both believe is the right move? You think not only you think it will happen, but you think. I mean, I do. I think it's the right way forward. I think it's a better way of getting someone that will perform better on tour than Q School. But is that something you both buy into as well?
100%. I would love to see it. To be honest, if I had my druthers, I would love to see the top guy get the tour card, and then the advancement to the second round of Q School, stage 2 of Q School, go to the second player and potentially also, one of the major winners. I'd love to see that. It's not in the contract that we have currently, but what I will say is the PDC has shown a wonderful willingness to change things as they make sense. There is an open line of communication. I speak with Dave Allen regularly. I speak with Matt Porter regularly. Is it something that I can promise is going to happen? No, but I also think that it's very likely at some point to happen. Again, that's the PDC decision. It's their tour.
Yeah, my sentiment comes from I listening to you guys. I echo what you say a lot. You just the interview you just did with Matthew Edgar. This topic came up. Mason will bring it up a lot. It's not just because I own a company that has a vested kind of interest in this, but from we want to get the best players in North America. The PDC wants the best players in the world, right? So I'm behind that idea of not carving out too much from what happens in Europe at the main kind of Q schools, but give the affiliates in Asia and Baltics and Australia, everybody that's starting to develop more opportunities to kind of come in and give direct opportunities, whether it be an actual Q school being held, 1 or 2 ranking spots, so ultimately you land at maybe 4 from a region get an actual card. So you're not taking a lot away, but you kind of can find those nuggets that are actually ready and just have them, beeline right into the PDC tour.
And ultimately, a question for Matt and the PDC is, how beholden are you to the 128 number? Because again, if we say 4 comes out of us, now you are taking 4 cards out of circulation from the other paths to obtaining a card. So, I mean, that's a consideration too from their perspective.
Right, we've got 2 more questions before we let you both go, because I know obviously Pete, your voice is struggling. Anthony, you've got to go as well. First one is, as someone from the US who only started playing darts at 24 years old, what role does the CDC play in helping the younger generation getting interested in the game?
Pete?
So when you're talking about interested in the game, I think that's really a dual-edged question there. Edge number 1 is, what are you going to do to help me as a player? Edge number 2 is, how do I really get into it? From a fan perspective, I'll address that first. We are starting a watch party initiative for CDC events. If you're really into it, there is a passionate community of darts fans across the United States and Canada. We're going to try to get them all together in different places to watch our events, to watch the World Championship, to watch the US Darts Masters. That is something we really want to do to increase fan engagement. And so I would encourage you, if there's a watch party in your area, get out there, meet like-minded people, talk about the game. There's a lot of really smart darts minds that'll be there. Talk about that. That'll connect you. On the player side, we are at the top of the game. But remember that, and this is kind of touches back on what I talked about before, right? We want them to come into the game. We want them to rise to the top. We want the best of the best. So there's local leagues that you can get to. There are, we have the Dart Players Tours that I'll let Anthony chat about. There is a pathway that we have worked really hard, both ourselves and in partnership with others, there's online play to really get yourself to the point where you are ready to come over.
Amazing. When you need a host for a watch party, you shout me first. Okay. You come to me first for that.
We'll send you an invite.
Yeah, you do.
And the last one, I'm guessing, is Team USA and second spot for Team Canada for the World Cup. how are we deciding them this year, and how is that looking?
That's been published. It is going to. I'm not going to talk about the players. I'm just going to talk about the qualifying criteria. So Jim Long is obviously in as the Canadian Tour card holder. He will be joined by the top player on the CDC 2-year order of merit at the end of our second weekend, and then the top U.S. and Canada player. I'm sorry, first weekend. Excuse me, first weekend, not second weekend. And then I had something else in my head. And then the U.S. team will be the top 2 U.S. players.
Love that. Absolutely love that. Gentlemen, thank you so much, Anthony. I know you've got stuff to go and do. Peter, I know your voice is struggling.
So much that we didn't cover. We're gonna have to reconvene soon because there's still a whole lot to talk about.
What we'll do is again back on after the cross-border challenge, so we can debrief how it all went, and we can carry on this chat there if that works for you guys.
Let's do it.
The opportunity.
But
thank you, boys.
The one, the only, Mr. Peter Citera and Anthony Eugenia. Pleasure as always, gentlemen. Thank you very much.
Thanks, guys.
You.
And is then, if by magic, our next guest is in, Mr. Scott Hunt from the ADC. How we doing, my friend?
Very well. Yourself? Dan, good to see you again.
All good, mate. All good.
Yep, all good here, though. Sorry, go ahead,
Yeah, all good, mate. All good. Look, we thought it was a good time to get you on. Plenty of news dropping from the ADC, tour events going on. First one coming up in Middlesbrough as well. How's the year started for the ADC?
Better than ever. Yeah, so we've just obviously finalised our Vault series today. We've hit 170 grand paid out across all 11 regions. Name another organisation or any other darts brand doing that. It's like unprecedented. This is obviously, I've been reading comments. I always, we keep a view. I take a lot of feedback on, and any, criticism or anything. We do use that to fuel what we need to do moving forward. And I'm sure we will touch on it, but we're investing a lot more in the bottom end of the game, the growth. We want to be here in 10, 20, 30 years time. We don't want to just be a flash in the pan. So we're making decisions based on that. And but no, all in all, really good start. We had a fantastic tour event at Bradman Farm in Aylesbury. We had over 350 entrants. Fantastic, fantastic darts, and good to see some new blood coming through as well. So all in all, very good.
Yeah, look, the Bradmore Farm stuff. We saw the streaming for the first time as well. Are we going to see that in Middlesbrough as well? Because I thought that added a real good dynamic to the tour events.
Yeah, so we've got that in place again. Full stage setup, full streaming setup, the full works. We want to get out, get some more eyeballs on our product across overseas and different territories. And me and you've had plenty of chats on that, and I think that's the next step to go forward. We did introduce it back in the day 4 years ago, but I think this time we've got a better team around us, better, financial situation. So yeah, it's time to kick on.
Let's go to the ADC Global. It's been announced again for this year. Good and some bad stuff. Let's do the good first. The changes that you have made, more players, getting rid of the round robin. Talk us through the decisions and why you're happy and why these were made.
Yes, so to be transparent with everyone, we have to work within the means of the venue that we're operating in, the Modus Live Lounge, their contracts, everything that works for their product. We had to align with them. As we've gained their trust, we've got a better working relationship now. We can implement our ideas. Round robin, obviously, that's the Modus format. We've always wanted to go to a knockout. Potentially, we want to move to set player in time, but that will come in time. But yes, so going up to 128 player format, straight knockout, jeopardy in every game, more opportunities. So there's our full structures from pub to stage, pub to global. So we want to bring that in from the beginning, which we are now. And I'm looking forward to it all.
Yeah, look, and 128 players. Is that an exciting, but also is that a challenging thing to get 128 players into there, making sure that everyone can play and logistically and so on?
So the logistics, yeah, we've worked through. I've worked with Chris and the team at Motor Super Series, Beth and all their team. We'll have a plan in place. We've got a plan in place to do that. to get 128 players in and out, yeah, probably will be a challenge. But there's so many good players coming through our system now that I'm not bothered about any kind of dip in, talent or anything like that people have raised. That you might dilute the crowd, the experience or the quality and offer. I don't think that'll be an issue at all. There's I could name 100 players playing the ADC system at the minute that will, that are definitely worth being put on TV.
Yeah, no, I like it, and no, I suppose the big thing that's come out of it is the drop in the first prize, and it's quite a big drop as well, 60k to 20k. People are obviously going to say, are they struggling financially or so on? You know how the rumour mills work. Why such a drop in that first prize, and is that a backward step? Two
things. No, the drop in the prize. How should we put it? We tried to make a statement. Let's say we tried to make a statement last year. We tried to put our name out there, get our eyeballs on it. But if you think about it, 60 grand for an amateur player or a person that's still plying the trade, working daily, it's a ridiculous amount. Come on, we're not there yet. We know where we are in the food chain, so we need to be realistic with it. And secondly, we want to reinvest most of that money back in the growth of the game at the bottom end and give them different pathways. And that's where we are going to, put that money into good use. So in a nutshell.
Do you think so? Like with the headline, I think, and people can take different things from the headline. Like personally, I sort of think, well, the headline to me is that every player comes away with money in their pocket, and it's not like a little bit money. It's a decent way. Every player comes away with 500 quid. Well, that's better than we see on the Pro Tour. That's where we don't see first round, and I know that it's an amateur game, and people have got to get there and hotel. There's logistics behind it. But is that sort of, does that make, like, to you? I think it makes it very defensible, because you can look at that and say, no, look, we're providing this opportunity, and it's within the amateur game, and so many of these people get to go and experience, doing this, and it's not going to cost them. They're going to come home with a few quid in their pocket, and like I think it makes the whole thing a bit more defensible and works better. And for me, it aligns more with where the amateur game needs to aim and needs to go forward. I don't know what you think, whether that is.
No, I totally agree. So our USP and our model is we try to limit the spend of players. You don't have to travel the world to qualify for our championships. Yeah. So we've introduced even more spots right down at the bottom end of the vault, so you can qualify just playing in your local pub. If you play your local pub every vault series now, you can qualify for the global stage and play on TV. It's unheard of. So, and again, it's increasing that player amount to 128. It's just increasing the opportunities and increasing the pathways to basically fast track to professional game.
One thing that came up last year, which I know we've had the conversation, but I don't know if it's out there publicly, but let's talk about it now, is players can also play in the ADC Global and Lakeside this year. Was that an important thing for you for the amateur game to make sure that could happen?
100%, yeah. So we've had conversations with Nick. We had conversations with Nick last year. That was something we tried to. It couldn't happen. We won't go into the details of reasons why it couldn't happen. We wanted to make it happen. But yeah, definitely, we don't want to limit anyone from playing the game. We want everyone to, we want, if the WDF are thriving, we're thriving, the game's thriving, the more activity, the more opportunities, and the more people playing darts is only going to help us all.
No, massively as well. Warren's just asked, Scott, will the qualification criteria be published when tickets go on sale as well? Are they both due soon and everything like that? Because
so
diaries and so on.
Yeah, so the UK and Ireland qualification, even though it's quite bare at the minute, is actually on our website. So dartcircuit.com. You can go on there on the global page, find UK and Ireland qualification routes. Europe is going on the website very soon. Africa, Canada, and Australia are all going to be, released soon. But we're going to be filtering out, get the information out there. But like Warren said there, yes, we're going to be getting a lot of the information out before we put the tickets on sale.
Was that an important thing that you wanted to make sure happened as well?
Yes, 100%. So again, last year we probably filtered things out at the wrong times. There was a lot of questions. So we've got the news out there. It's the format change, the prize fund change, more opportunities, and then we're going to, there'll be a structured campaign from now until November.
No, I like that. And like you said, the vaults and so on and the payout structure, although people will catch the eye that prize money's gone down, but the prize money that you're paying at elsewhere, is that something that needs to be highlighted? Is that something that you look at and go, look at what we're paying across the whole ADC tour, not just one lump?
Yeah, so we took a risk with extending the tour. So the tour is now doubled. There's more money on offer there. That's guaranteed prize funds, regardless of entries. We're investing minimum 80,000 into the level up structure. So the level up, for anyone that doesn't know, it's for average based competitions. So under 55, under 65, and under 75 average competitions. So anyone's got a chance to win some money and, you know, gain the confidence and build up that pathway and ladder. So yeah, we're investing more and more into the game, and you've got to remember that we're a business and we want to be here in 10 years. We've got to be sustainable, and we got around the table, and that decision to drop the prize fund it was only £24,000, but that £24,000 is going to be invested back into the operations to run a full week show live on TV. And as some people have said, that it is at the Modus Live Lounge, but we still got to cover costs. As you know, there's plenty of costs out there, but for the sake of 24 grand drop, we're investing over 100,000 back into the lower end.
You touched on the level up and stuff like that. Is that a thing that you're massively, one, pleased of, and two, want to continue growing? That a lot has been labelled in this is at the PDC as well, that the top end gets looked after and so on. And it's the same in the amateur game as well. That, like, I remember Paul Hogan was dubbed the professional amateur for all those years. He's just going hoover it all up. Is this something that is massively important to you, like you say, that these levels up, that you're looking after everyone in the amateur game, not just the top amateurs?
Yeah, there's a fine line there, so we've got to be very careful with this, like sport integrity and sport and merit. You can't award similar prize funds to lower ability players or social players. You've got to win there and be there on merit. However, there is a pathway and an avenue to invest a little bit more and give those players confidence and experience of winning competitions, multiple games a day. So that's the structure. We're not going to be plowing loads of money into it. However, we will be paying out prize funds that are going to be the best in the game, and there'll be no other organisation that will be able to touch it in that regard. So that's 100% part of what we want to do and how we want to grow the game. Yeah.
The tour events as well, like you touched on there, record numbers. How and what are the plans going forward to grow those as well? What's the plan and what's the aim in 3-4 years for the tour events?
So again, this is
still in the Teesside, I hope.
Yeah, I'd love it to be up north, not just for us, but for everyone. You know, for lads from Scotland and ladies from Scotland as well, or everyone up north and Cumbria side, northwest. We're trialing it again, doing a north and south table. Let's see how this goes. I wanted to bring opportunities closer to these players, and the more we can reduce the expense of traveling and entries, hotels, and spends over a weekend is only going to help us in rewarding these members for investing back in without their membership fees. So in time, yes, let's have a look, see how we go this year. I suppose it's a bit of trial this year, and let's see what we can do with it.
No, I like that. And again, obviously with the membership fee, that was noticed that the membership fee's gone up. But for those that don't know, that membership fee obviously goes back into the system as well, I'm guessing. Is that part of the reason why of the increase?
Yeah, so it's to invest. So we're not just going to put all our cards on the table this year. We have got a long-term plan where we want to carry on investing in the game, both operationally with staff. We're bringing on full-time staff now. I've been working full-time by myself for 5 years, so we will be bringing on people very close to me, and we want to build a game globally. We want to bring, we're stepping into different territories. We're looking at Canada, Africa, Australia. So we're teaming up with some good people. So it will totally just invest back into the game, growing the pathway. And as we've proven, it's all the work that goes into these tables, the updates, the results, the artwork, the creativity, the website. This isn't, it's not free. So yeah, well, it's been invested back in.
Is it important, or do you think it's important, like you say, the fact that you are listening to people? Because we've seen it even at the top level where we say people like the ones at the top don't listen and so on. Is that something that you take on board all the time, the pluses and the negatives?
100%. So yeah, we always kind of do a debrief. I always ask our regional directors, give us your feedback. Tell us what's, I'd listen to everyone and anything, any email, any complaint, any Twitter post, anything out there. And we use that, like I said, to fuel what we need to do going forward and grow the pathways. And we've looked. The Vault is a prime example. It's been operating now 3.5 years, and we've tinkered and changed every series. There's something being new we're taking it on board, like bringing in the 10 best results. Stop people playing 30, 40 events and running away with the money. We give those players that can only get out once a week, they've still got a chance of, getting the money, getting into the qualifiers and qualifying for national finals. So yeah, we'll always listen. We'll always listen.
Love that. One thing, I spoke to Matt Porter about this, and he said that there had been conversations. Just wondering if this is going to be revisited. The UK Open, the amateur structure, one of the criticisms by members of our team as well, Dan and Cam, that like to go and do it, that in its current structure, there isn't, let's say people are, like you say, traveling 4 hours to try and play a qualifier. And we've said, why not use the ADC? Because they've got structures all over the UK to do it. Is this something that you perhaps like to revisit with Matt and the PDC team going forward?
100%, yeah. So we had conversations 2 years ago, I believe. It was put on the table. We couldn't come to an agreement at the time due to contractual on both sides, both parties. We can't go into that. However, yes, it's on the table, and it's something I'm sure we'll revisit, and something I'm sure it'll come about very soon. Yeah.
So it's twinkling your eye there. I like that.
It's the most, like, I sit here, I mean, like, only just a few miles from you, Scott, and I looked at where the qualifiers were this year, and you just think, like, I've got to travel 4 hours, and then I've got to travel back, and and then you look north, and you look further up north towards Scotland, but it almost looks like if you could design something that was like perfectly fit, for a completely open tournament, you'd think, well, if we got like 600 venues where everyone could turn up and play a tournament, it makes total sense, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Whether the businesses can align each other is a different question, but as a concept, it makes total sense to me.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, from the outside looking in, it's perfect and it should be happening already. However, but like we said, there's other issues at hand there, but I'm sure we'll iron them out in time.
What's the next stage of growth for the ADC then? Like you say, you've obviously cut back one because you want to make sure you're here in 5-10 years time. Where's the next bit of growth? Where's the next bit that you're looking at?
So we are looking at overall territorial growth. So it's stepping into other countries. We want to replicate the structure we have here. So with the vaults, with the tour, with the certain majors we have in, that are operating, it's to get into these countries and offer the same pathways. We've got a very good relationship with Motor Super Series. As we grow, they grow, we grow, working hand in hand at the minute. We want to, there's so many good players out there in different countries, Canada, Africa. Look at what, the players that played on the PDC stage that have come through Africa, through the work at Devon and African Darts Group. And we've got a good relationship with Devon. So it's, it's aligning with all those people in different territories and growing the game together. That's the aim overall, yeah.
I like that. Do you see a scenario that, I'm not saying you want to move away, but do you want to get into a position where the global outgrows the live lounge in Portsmouth?
Oh, 100%. Yeah, we both had those conversations. We've got to just remember where we are, and we can't take things for granted. And you see people commenting, why not moving into a bigger venue, doing this X, Y, and Z. Everything's in place. We've got these relationships. People have built Motor Super Series from the ground up, and we get to use that venue. They've got the best production out there. Why would we jeopardize those kind of relationships at the minute? And we've got to remember we're in our infancy. This is only the third year of running the Global Championship. So let's see where we are in 10 years.
I know. I agree that I've been worked down there, that the production down there is absolute second to none. It is incredible. So the broadcast is going to be absolutely elite, which is great. Have you got anything on the horizon coming up that you can tease us with or anything?
Not really, being honest, it's growing from the UK side. It's just growing the model, just getting into more venues, creating the pathways, changing up our ideas and offering more opportunities. I know I keep saying that every time I come in here, but that's what's going to grow the game. Like I said, overseas, I'm working with some very well experienced people now to grow the game overseas, and I think that's the aim long term. Link all these different pathways up, and we'll never, see where we're at. One thing we probably could put out there is there a room for a team concept at the top end, like an elite team concept? There's potential there, isn't there? So yeah, I'll leave you with that one.
It's exciting.
I'm gonna throw something, and I might be wrong with this. Is this to, I don't want to say rival, but maybe replace a dying canty scene? Shall we say that?
No, not at all. So that I'll put this on record. We are not here to damage anything going. I'd rather work with the UKDA than go against them. But I think there's potential there. If you look at other sports and other concepts, gaming for one, there's potential there for something to be replicated. So we've got some ideas popping about, yeah.
Some pairs tournaments, perhaps, or is that?
We run a pairs tournament at our national finals, so that's open to any ADC member. They don't have to qualify for the national finals. So the Red Dragon Doubles Cup, just to put that on record as well. There's plenty of money out there. I think it's about 5 or 6 grand will be prize fund this year. So yeah, we'll see. We could visit a doubles thing again. Yeah, why not?
I like that. Before we let you go, Scott, anything that you want to add or let people know where they can get their information on that from?
We've had really good reports for changing the format, the structure. Yes, the prize fund's going to be the main thing. It's going to be highlighted from our die-hard fans that are out there. But please just take this. Yeah, we will be investing that money back in the game. And look, let's be honest, we've got 99% of those members are not going to be playing on that global stage. No, like nothing to do with talent. We just can't get them there. So we need to be looking after the whole structure. So 128 players will take a chunk of the £126,000 prize fund. But over the course of the year, I think we're paying out over 1.8 million now. The 99% are going to get a bite of that cherry. So just, that's
incredible. For an amateur organisation, that's incredible money to be put back into that system, mate. So that's an incredible feat.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate that.
No, my pleasure, mate. Always a pleasure to have you on. Thank you very much, as always, for your time, Scott, and we look forward to things to come, mate. Thank you so much, everyone. Mr. Scott Hunt, pleasure as always, my friend.
Thanks, buddy. Okay, mate. Crikey.
It's been a good first hour, Dan.
We can do the intro now, an hour in, can't we? We came into that thick and fast, didn't we? Yeah, we had guests on before me. I think we're getting the back end. We had guests on nice and early. We've gone back to back. I tell you what, I'm starting to suspect, Philip, that you might have expanded the team and not told me, because the guest booking is becoming so sustainably good. I'm starting to suspect you might have took somebody else. Have you got someone behind you in the office there just working away on booking guests?
No, but I did spend a whole day booking like 6 weeks in advance. So I need to do that again this week. Like, get on the right. Who can we have where and so on. Yeah, chat room. We weren't ignoring you at the start. We just knew that the guests were coming on thick and fast. So it was like, right, get them in and then we'll address everyone. I hope all is good.
Yeah.
Look,
I feel like we settled early tonight, haven't we?
I don't get Luke Littler on. Look, I'm sure if or when Luke has time, he would come on. But his schedule is ridiculous.
We've had him on twice.
Yeah.
He's been on both as a remote guest and live in person. So he's one of the few people that have been on twice as a guest. He's been on more than most people as young Mr. Littler.
Yeah.
I could give other people
the elephant in the room. So Jar has a business gig today. Should we tell people what it is?
I can't remember what he's doing. He's doing something. It's where is he? Is it the swimming still?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's I don't think he's working. I think he's just a pervert, isn't he? I don't think he's working. I think he's like seeing all the there's lots of speedos and stuff. No, I think he is working down at the
stadium announcing swimming,
aquatic centre announcing swimming. I'm not sure how much expertise he has. I think he's probably very much relying on his clipboard today. Is Mr. Eaton, and I'm not sure he'll have quite the recall for swimmers as he manages for dart players and cricketers. But he's multi-talented, is the lad. He can do anything.
Yeah, he's in London Stadium enhancing on the swimming.
Good on him. Which it's also, I mean, it's a disgrace in fairness because he's supposed to be unavailable Mondays because he has a prior commitment. But you know, I'll not stand in the way of him earning a pound note here and there. Especially if he gets to take all the speedos in. I hope he's handed his camera in before he went.
But again, thank you so much to our group of guests because they were absolutely sensational. Always a pleasure to have Scott on from the ADC and, of course, our beloved boys from the North American scene, Mr. Citera and Mr. Eugenia, as always. Right, should we talk some darts, Dan?
Oh God, it's going to have to be us now, isn't it? It's so much easier when other people come on and talk about darts, and we just get to listen and answer questions.
Before we do,
so I've seen they are going to the live lounge. So there's I don't want to give away, but because I know someone will turn up wanting a fucking autograph. There is a place called the live lounge is also a real life place, and I know that they happen to be holidaying fairly close to it.
Yeah, absolutely. But it was always a pleasure to have the Littler clan in as always. Before we talk about darts, this sort of like happened. This was kept very, very secret, but very, very exciting. That the Nuke was hosting the England squad darts tournament.
Well, I think, you know, if anyone thought for a moment that darts hasn't fully moved into the zeitgeist, you know, it is in the real world. It is, as we know, Sky Sports is second most watched sport behind football. And the players that play it are, you know, they are now superstars and they are viewed as such by other superstars, and they're seen as peers, you know, they are seen as that's the other bloke from Sky Sports, a bit like me. So I think it's a sign of a few things. I also think it's, you know, we know that there are darts fans amongst that group of England players as well, which is pretty cool. But no, we're starting to see more and more crossover. Again, I think football, like every sport in the world, are always looking to look at what's hot at the moment and what's busy and what's doing numbers and what's entertaining people and align themselves with it. Like their football's always been very, very good at that. And I think at the minute, the darts world or the world of darts is here for it because, you know, darts is continuing to boom and grow, but no one, I think, in darts has sort of settled on that yet. They know that curve is still on the up, and everyone, I think, is worried that at some point it might start to level off, and then it's a struggle to work out if and how we can go again. So I think darts is here for it at the minute. Whenever anybody wants to engage from the real world outside of darts.
Oh yeah, look, 100%. It was so good to see, and that whenever you get crossover and like even simple things like Phil Foden sharing the dart story or Bellingham doing it as well is only big for the sport. You've got players that are playing at Real Madrid, Manchester City, sharing our little sport.
I've just had one of the most brilliant messages in my life because there's a little message in the chat room there, but there is there's confirmation, Philip, that I could be in fancy dress next year at the UK Open, you know.
Interesting.
Yeah. I'll send you a message in a minute. You'll like it, though.
No, Dan Simpson goes undercover at Minehead.
I won't be undercover in that, mate. There'll be no undercover if I pull that off. It could be a year-long surprise. It'd be good fun, though.
I'm just.
You wait with the picture of those.
That's brilliant. That's incredible.
Yes.
Oh.
Yes. Yeah, I'll be peeled out of hot shots in that. I'm on the front row of Reds.
Premier League, Berlin.
Oh yes, back to real darts.
It was interesting. Luke has moved to the top of the table and proceeded to say, "Catch me if you can." I thought, in hindsight, I get it that Rian, by turning up, he won a leg, so he was better off than forfeiting. But in terms of, he didn't look after what he's gone through, he clearly wasn't right, shall we say? In hindsight, should he have had the extra week to recover?
I mean, again, it's such a tough one to answer that, because, I mean, the easy answer, should he have had the extra week to recover, is yes, he should have done. Like, because he just should. And if it was, it was somebody at work where I work, and you get paid if you're off, and, you can have, if you stick a sick note in, you still get your salary, and I'd be saying, go on, you get your feet up, like, have a rest, come back next week when you're feeling at it. Now, but, like, in order to make sure that he doesn't, forfeit and the points and everything else, like, I understand why you can't instruct somebody, and the decision's his at the end of the day. He's self-employed, can't speak to his union or anything, can he? He's got to turn up for work, and he has. But again, like, I mean, he's averaged 91.5, and looking back over the Premier League this year, that'll get you a game here and there, won't it? That'll do all right. So he's not turned up and stunk the place out, really. He's turned up. His average begins with a 9. Gezi has played particularly well in beating him. Gezi has played well, and I just think it's a bit of a shame, because nobody wants to see a player not at the best, and no player wants to play when they're not at their best. Obviously, he felt well enough to turn up and didn't want to forfeit, and I respect that quite a lot. I do respect it.
Yeah,
again, it's like, the last thing any darts fan wants to see is the erosion of any competition. Like, we want to see the players at their best. So, and again, no one can control it, can they? Like, there's nothing anyone can do about it. The lad's recovering, and he's had the decency to, dig in and put his big boy trousers on and turn up for work. So I respect that, and he played all right.
First game of the night. What is it about Berlin that seems to change Premier League fortunes? It was Stephen Bunting last year, and it was Josh Rock this year. But you could see when that winning double went in, what it meant to him. It was, and people were saying, he still gets paid. No. They're professional sportsmen. Losing hurts. And you could see what that game meant to him. Yeah,
I think it was really, really important that it was, it's gone on such a long time. And, as we know, night 8 is the funny night, because it is 1 versus 2 and 2 versus 7, and 1 versus 8. And in theory, if you come in dead bottom, it's your hardest game, because you are playing the most informed player, the best player of the previous 7 weeks. So I think it's a big game for a number of reasons. Just to get points on the board and get a win, I think is huge for Josh Rock. I think that does, like, it gets rid of that monkey now, doesn't it? It gets rid of it straight away. He's not without a win. He isn't pointless. I know there'll be some, bad memories from earlier in the tournament, and perhaps. So we were saying last week, or I said that I thought it boded not good at all for Rock that he was playing number 1, top of the league, and he had to do it 2 weeks in a row because of the way that the draw had gone. He's got to beat the best player twice in a row, or he's still going to be pointless. And I think beating Johnny last week will just, there's a number of reasons why, it's now a bit exciting going to Manchester, because he, not only has he dispatched those thoughts of, I haven't won, I've never got to a semi-final, they're all gone, but he can almost just put himself back in, he's continuing it. He's back on the stage. I think it's almost a perfect lineup, as good as Johnny is. Psychologically, I think it's perfect for Rock. So yeah, let's hope that it's the sign of a real push from him, because the better he plays, the more he wins, the more exciting the Premier League's going to be.
Yeah, I know, completely. Boy wonder. He beats Stephen Bunting with his Gen 1s, averages 105.72. We think normal services resumed. He then proceeds to rock up in the semi-finals, get a brand new set of darts out of his case, the prototypes that have been tweaked once again to go on and average 108.58 with their first outing on TV. And then in the final, 106.34, taking out two 170s, one to win it, with a set of darts that he'd only used on the TV twice. What is the world coming to? When do we start running out of things to say?
It is fun, isn't it? I do recall, and I think it was his old fella in our chat room a few weeks ago, ridiculing those that had labelled him as finished after he wasn't in the top four after a couple of weeks. And, it's not, I don't think you couldn't describe it. It took him a little while to get going, I don't think. But, the Premier League is a tight format. It's tough. Those first, or that first night when Xian beat him, and then going out in the semis to Michael the second night, and it didn't quite click. And then all of a sudden something happened, and normal services been renewed, and should we be accepting that 105, 109, 107, 106? Is that normal? Well, it is for him. He can do that, pick out 3 different sets of darts and get on a stage where, and there was a lot of talk. Let's be honest, Luke doesn't generally thrive in Germany. It's not been a happy hunting ground for him previously. It's the home of the missing major. It's a place that he's had a back and forth with fans on multiple times. He often won't play there unless it's really justified and someone pays him enough. But just seemed again like nothing else matters, does it? Or you can put all these factors in, and we can talk for ages about whether this will affect him and that will affect him, and maybe the crowd will get on him. But he just has these days, doesn't he? And we've seen him do it so many times in so many different tournaments, and some days it just doesn't really matter what's going on, in the crowd or where he is in the world and who he's having to play, or it just, if he's at it, I think. And I don't know if even he sort of really knows in advance when that's coming. We've seen him start slow. We have seen him start slow in a number of games and matches. We've seen him be really pushed when he can't find that level. And I don't know whether he, whether he gets out of bed in the morning, or whether he's in a practice room and
out of bed in the morning.
Well, yeah, exactly. If he gets out, I've done a day's work before that lad's out of bed, I think. But I think when he, I don't know whether he gets, he gets on the practice board pre-game, in the practice he's having that week, and they start to flow, and whether he just thinks, it's one of those days, and it just, no matter what he wants to do, he can do it. But it really, really, really lovely to watch, and there are, nobody can stick with him. Michael turns up in the final, averages 104, and never looked like he was going to really pose a threat. He didn't get embarrassed, but I don't think Michael looked like he was really threatening. Poor Stephen Bunting, you've got to feel a little bit sorry for, averaging over 107.5 and getting beat 6-3. That's some days you're the pigeon and some days you're the statue, and often Luke Littler is the pigeon. But it's tough for the rest of the minute. Hard when you've got to play that all the time.
But like you said, I think MVG's had a good return. 99, 96, 103, and he sat on a finish to potentially take it to a deciding leg when Littler pops out another 170 and so on. But yeah, the darts in question, the ones with a nuke pattern on, they're not identical to what he played with in Saudi. They've been tweaked slightly. He told us afterwards that it's the same. The grip pattern with the nuke on is the same, but there's been some subtle little changes made to them. We got a clip from Luke actually from after.
Yeah, I mean, it's been very interesting this Premier League. Obviously, Johnny ran away with it a little bit. But yeah, I thought there was going to be a much bigger gap whilst I was sat 7th, sat at 6th 1 point. But yeah, now they can all try and catch me.
Do you feel that you got 1 foot in the O2 already?
Yeah, I mean, I think the last few years, I think it's been more 24 points, 25 points maybe. So as long as we get past them points, then I think I can say I'm definitely in.
Also caught the headlines as well. Personal chef at Premier League, like not a fan of the food at Premier League venues.
Some of it's okay, but like Barry said, hopefully you can sort it out, not only for us but also for the snooker.
Brilliant. Food's got to be better in Germany, surely. There'll be some schnitzels and currywurst, and there's got to be. Not that I'm trying to stereotype German cuisine, but like
there was some chicken nuggets, some potato wedges, some wraps.
Oh man, I offer my services for all sorts of consultancy, and I'm happy to do the buffets and all. Like, and if anybody wants me to come and do that, I can do that.
We'll come on to that bit in a bit because we are going to talk about it. The table. Are we still in agreement that the top two are done and dusted? Littler on 21 points, Clayton on 19. Are we saying this?
I think it would have to be disastrous for Johnny Clayton. Now he's gone out in the quarter final 2 weeks in a row. I don't know how many weeks in a row that'd have to happen before I start to be concerned. I just can't see a scenario where with 7 nights left, Johnny doesn't, win enough first round games to just bank. He's banked the points early. And I can't see Johnny not getting there. Luke will piss it. Michael's been steady, hasn't he? Like Michael's just
started to pick up points again.
Yeah, he sort of won that opening night. He's banked some points early, and then he's just those last couple of weeks started to pick it up, and he just knows what to do, doesn't he, in this tournament? And he still has that ability, I think, to turn it on when needed. I think it's 3 for 2, and I think it's 3 of Gezi, Michael, and Humphreys into 2 spots, unless Clayton has a real slump. But that's going to have to start quick, or people are just going to run out of opportunities to get him. Obviously, he plays Rock next week, and then Humphreys and Van Gerwen both have a go at Clayton in the weeks after that. So they're going to start to try and chip away at that between them. But again, it's going to be tight because every one of those players who managers who take some points off Clayton is going to pick them up themselves. So I think it could concertina a bit and get tight.
Well, I think if Johnny wins this week, that puts him to 21. As he just wins his first game, that puts him to 21. That's difficult. Once you get into that 20 plus bracket,
yeah, that's what I mean. I think
it's hard. If he wins this week, then I think it's then tough.
I think it's 3 into 2. If I'm honest, I think Littler and Clayton are pretty safe, and then I think it's 3 of Gezi, Michael, and Humphreys.
Yeah, I agree. And someone asked about the conditions, and I saw Gezi's post on Instagram about the conditions in there. There were a couple others that moaned about it. Look, it's one of those ones. It's those big venues that you can't keep the breeze out. Do you know what I mean? That apparently it was blowy and windy on stage. I think that's the conditions that they're talking about. But it's almost impossible to stop. I don't know how you stop it.
Sometimes it's rainy and slippy when people play football. Same with rugby. Like, unfortunately, like, you cannot control, you know, in all professional sports, you cannot control every single variable. And unfortunately, like, and this is the problem, and this is what some of them I think are just going to have to accept is, like, if you want to accept the riches that come from the Premier League, like, telling the Premier League isn't able to offer those riches to those 8 players and all that money that is paid out if they're not selling out great big arenas. Like, if you want to play darts in a perfect environment for darts, then you should just play every event in Reds at Minehead, and everyone will sit there in complete silence, and there won't be a breeze, and it'll be perfect. But you won't earn any money because you can't sell 20,000 tickets at 80 quid a pop. So, as if you want the riches and the glory and the 20,000 seater stadiums and all of the things that come from that, then you have to put up with playing in a venue that can accommodate it. And it's also, again, and people can say all day long, well, I throw a different setup and I throw different darts and I throw different stems and I throw different flights. But when there's a lad who's consistently hoying, 107, 108, 109, 105, it's difficult to say these conditions are terrible for playing darts in. Like when the bloke that's on next is doing that. So yeah, I get it to a degree, but I'm not having it because, like I say, play in a venue that holds 40 people then, but you get paid on a pro rata basis.
Right, let's box the Premier League off. Let's do Manchester now. We're here. We're off to the AO Arena this week. I know one of your personal favourites, Dan.
MEN, it's a shithole. My least favourite venue. I like Manchester. Like, I really like Manchester as a city. Well, we'd spend quite a bit of time there. I'm going there tomorrow, actually, for work. So I'll be there overnight. I'll be watching the England game there. But yeah, it's just a shit venue. It's awful. And the day they change it and move to the Co-op, I'll be high-fiving strangers on the night bus because it just needs to happen.
On the night bus to the Leaky Cauldron, very niche. When you know.
This is it.
So the quarterfinals are as follows: MVG plays Stephen Bunting, Gerwin Price takes on Luke Humphreys, Gian Van Veen takes on Luke Littler, and Johnny Clayton takes on Josh Rock, part number 2. So, MVG against Bunting, what are we saying?
Oh,
I think this is tougher to call than it was perhaps 3 weeks ago.
Yeah, and I genuinely think it is a tough one to call. Bunting had that monster performance last week. I think Bunting will feel aggrieved to have gone all the way to Germany to have produced darts that he did, average 107.5 and go out in the first round. It seems not fair. But I think we've tipped the scales into the back end of the tournament, and Michael's not quite sure yet, and he needs to dig in, and it's Manchester, and it's not Liverpool.
And he's going to get some shit.
And he's going to get some stick in there. So I will say MVG wins. Oh, do you know what? I think it'll be a nervy decider as well, and the crowd will get involved. 6-5. Michael Van Gerwen.
I'm going 6-4, Michael Van Gerwen. I think this next game is huge. In terms of the race for the playoffs, I think this game is massive.
Well, it is as well.
Price and Luke Humphreys.
And just before I pick it, I'll tell you again why I think it's so big. Because of the way the bracket works this week. Because the winner then plays, if Michael Van Gerwen wins, like I said, I think it's 3-2, and I think you've got the 3 there on the same side of the bracket. So it's big because one of those 3, if it's not Bunting, one of those three is going to make a final, and that is massive for them and catastrophic for the others. So, but what will happen? What will happen? Luke,
the brolly hat.
fucking needs it in that place. It's honestly shithole full of peasants. Horrible. Right, Luke Humphreys. Yeah, it's more interesting if Luke Humphreys wins, isn't it? Because he's outside and Gezzy's.
Are you manifesting chaos again, Daniel?
Yeah, absolutely, mate. I just want it to be fun. I want to make fun for the people. Yeah, Luke Humphreys wins 6. Oh, go on, 6-3. Puts a big monster in. 105.
See, I'm really torn because I think these are actually both playing really well.
You are Napoli and Brugulad.
The difference is Gerwin Price is playing well and getting results, where Luke Humphreys is playing well and not. And my general consensus is, I've said this about many players, you can't keep playing well and not winning at some point. So on that basis, I'm going Luke Humphreys takes his chance in a 6-5 win.
We're agreeing too much here.
I know, I don't like this. And I think we're going to agree on the next one as well, because it is top of the table, world number 1, Luke Littler, against someone that is probably still recovering. That yes, he will be better than last week, but is he still going to be 100%? I'm not sure if you can get over kidney stone surgery in 10 days.
No, it worries me a little bit. And it I mean, he's a grown man in it, but yeah, I just think it's going to be, I think, just a little bit too much too soon. Littler's 2-7. I think that's probably generous. One more than last week, 6-2.
I'm going 6-1 to Luke.
Right. Yeah, and again, I think that's nothing to do, just to be. It's just no disrespect whatsoever. I just don't think
that he's going to have recovered enough.
Yes, because it's not what people have to remember is darts is a very it's quite a cyclical game, and the players are all very much in their own little programs and cycles of what they do and how they get themselves ready for a game like this, and it's not just whether or not he can gather himself to be pain free and fit and active and not tired and everything else to play on the night. It's how much he's how much is he still on various different pain relief medication and all the things and how's his sleep pattern and everything else so that he can practice the way that he needs to and feel as comfortable that he should in that run up mentally to play that game, not just about whether or not he can turn up on the night and stand on the hockey. So yeah, it's a heavy one, but I'll say 6-2.
And then a repeat of last week. Apart from it was first last week and it's last this week. The Ferret, Johnny Clayton, takes on Rocky Josh Rock. Repeat or revenge, Dan?
I think I loosely suggested earlier that I fancy a bit of revenge. And I think revenge is more interesting. I think the longer that we can keep Johnny away from 21 points and the more that we can concertina everything, the more exciting all those other games are in weeks to come. So to make for a better Premier League and to carry on from the kickstart he got last week, Josh Rock wins 6-4.
This is where we disagree. I think Johnny Clayton bounces back in Manchester. And I'm going 6-4 to the Ferret. And I'm going to go, he wins it with a 1-2-4, hit, point left, and go, go on!
Massive, that.
People
will just go there. And all that'll happen is the crowd will just throw cups full of piss everywhere. Pretend they're having a good night.
Who wins in Manchester and who do they beat in the final?
Right. I'm trying to not be boring, but Luke Humphreys will be beaten in the final by Luke Littler.
We've got the same finalists.
Oh, toss. You know what that means, folks?
Avoid Luke and Luke.
That means Luke, yeah. That's both Luke's out in the quarterfinals. Sorry, guys.
Just for balance, I'll go the other way, but we have got the same finalists.
And you know, again, like, you know, all jokes aside, if Humphreys wins that final, again, like the darts fan in me enjoys that, because again, that Premier League table just becomes more and more interesting, and that's what, you know, that's what we want with 7 weeks to go, is we want that table to get more and more interesting. Luke Humphreys, you know, so the 4 players above him, they've all won at least one night. Clayton and Littler, well, Littler's won 3, Clayton's won 2, but Luke Humphreys hasn't won a night yet, and he's too good, isn't he? He's too good to not win a night. So sooner or later, he's got to win a night.
Yeah.
Could be this week. I don't think it will be, but I'm not sure. I'm not confident.
If results go the way we are suggesting, there will be at least a 6-point gap between Van Gerwen and Van Veen. Are we saying those 3 are then out?
Yeah, I think, as sad as it is to say, I think it's 3-2. I think that's like where it's at this year. I think Bunting and Rock haven't got going, and I think Hian has just been unfortunate at the very wrong time. That he's suffered, you know, a medical condition unrelated to him playing darts. I think, you know, in the run up to that, runner-up first week, runner-up again in weeks 3 and 4, like he got off to an absolute belter of a start, and Jan was looking superb and looked at every bit like he would be there at the end in the top 4. And you know, you can't factor these things into your plans, can you? You know, all of a sudden he gets, you know, he develops something that requires him to have a week off and requires surgery. Then all surgery, regardless of what it is, has got some type of recovery cycle, you know, and it's not just relating to physical moving around. It's like I say, it's relating to his practice and his sleep pattern, his fit, and everything else that goes alongside it. So I just think he's been unfortunate. He'll come again without a shadow of a doubt. You know, we will see Jan van Veen in the Premier League many, many, many times more. So, but I do think it's 3-2 at this point.
What did you make of Baz's comments last week in terms? Now, I'm led to believe, I may be wrong, but it was made out that it was all Luke's demands and Luke's team's demands. Now, I was led to believe there was a PDC managers meeting a few weeks ago where different things were discussed by all for the good of the players and so on, and better catering and so on was on that list. But I believe it might have been obviously Luke's manager, Gary, who may have actually spoke to Barry about it, whether that was planned or whether that was just the way it thing. But I don't think this was just Luke. I think this was a broader thing across the spectrum from managers in general about players having healthier options on site to eat, not just a burger or a kebab when they're finished or whatever, or something like that. Now, what did you take from the comments?
So, like, I'll come at it from two angles, right? Because I've got two views on it. And one is the sort of... One's the darts fan who happens to be sat here, like, with a beer in his hand, like, that sort of thinks that, like, let's be honest, we know what we get with Barry, and there's a reason why everybody wants to hear from him and loves to hear from him, because we don't get the corporate line often from Barry. You know, what we get often with Barry is honesty, and we always get honesty from what he is thinking, feeling, etc. You know, of course, he's a bit old school. You know, he's not as corporate as what we maybe used to hearing when we hear, you know, huge people in sports speak. And you know, perhaps he has got that, you know, an older school attitude. And I think, you know, it's endearing and it gives us all a bit of a giggle, and it's fun and it's funny. At the same time, like, I know that the PDC wants to be, and should be, like, legit, like, should be taken really seriously by the world as a sport, right? And we've always, and it should be, but, you know, there are still people that when they see a dart player at a sports personality of the year, there are still those idiots that were people that will fucking moan and, you know, it's not a proper sport, like all of this thing. And there is a push to continue towards the professionalization of the game. And I don't just mean how everybody gets paid. I mean how it's perceived by the world and the public. And the more that you can support players in moving towards feeling like they are acting and behaving like sportsmen, then I think you contribute to the professionalization of the game, and you contribute to people taking it seriously. I you know, as someone, I mean, you know what I do for a job. You know, you wouldn't believe the amount of time I've had very, very long and in detail meetings where we discuss and have discussed at a really high level, like what and how kids are going to be fed school meals and what they need to be. And they can't just be chicken nuggets and chips. And what's the reason for that? Well, you don't need a fucking diploma in something. You know, you don't need a degree in nutrition to understand that, like, really, you know, chicken nuggets and chips every day ain't, you know, really conducive to the best possible outcomes. Like, they're just not. I don't know. Maybe not. Usain Bolt, isn't that where he had nuggets before he won his gold? Like, maybe Usain Bolt's the exception that proves the rule. But no, you know, again, I think there's like two angles to it. Yeah, it's funny and Barry's great, like, brilliant, good fun. But like, I do think that there needs to be that continual, like, marginal steps towards making the world understand that this is a professional sport, and it needs to be taken seriously. And there are players who want to take that seriously. You know, we know, Phil, there are players that put an awful lot of thought into their nutrition and what they eat every day, never mind on the day of an important game. You know, there are particular routines that people eat certain things so many, you know, so many hours out from going on stage and all sorts of other different things. And I think, well, you know, if you want players to produce their best and act professional, then you should support that. You know, do I think that, you know, we need personal chefs and all of this? But yeah, I do think you've got to sometimes think, if you are the biggest game in town, like, you are number one, you got, like, me and you have been, how many times have we been in an event? And, you know, your options are literally, like, if you're in the venue, you got chips and you can have chips, or you can have a burger, or you can have burger and chips. Like, there are your options, you know. Like, you know, I can't remember where it was there, and so, you know, there was chips. Is there anything I can have with my chips? And she went, yeah, wedges. Like, brilliant, that's a good. And you know, that's the sort of, that's what we're used to. But yeah, I you know, yeah, let's be better. Why not? Why wouldn't we?
There's a very famous Scotsman that might fly that still to this day does not eat on a match day. Hasn't and won't. He does not eat on a match day. Which, when you think about it, is mad.
I mean, yes, I mean, I think it's mad. Like, I couldn't do it. I can't get to lunch. I'm not. It's not. It's just not the way I like to live. But but again, everybody's different, and everybody eats different times, and and then I do think, you don't have to cater to everybody, and you don't have to be, you don't have to be cooking all sorts of specialty things and doing all sorts of different bits and pieces for people. But if you are going to put a spread on, let's vary it up. Let's a few less chicken nuggets, maybe a bit of hummus or something. Let's go something a little bit, something with some roughage in it, something with some fiber. I don't know, like anything, probably, anything at all.
No, I do agree. That I think that taking the sport to the next level, nutrition is a big thing in all this. We've seen players actively lose weight recently, that they want to be better in themselves, and that comes from nutrition and so on. So look, I'm not saying that we get Michelin star chefs or anything like that, but certainly, look, and I appreciate the Premier League players are in a privileged position and have more cash and so on and so on. But certainly at things like Pro Tours, when I'm guessing the food choice, that I haven't been for a few years, but beforehand, the food choices weren't the best at, where did I go? Barnsley. It was a leisure centre, so you can imagine it was whatever was being served in the leisure centre that day.
I have it on very good authority that there isn't actually any healthy food in Barnsley. I've been there. I've been to Barnsley before. There's nothing.
So I think that there should be a responsibility. I'm not saying, by the way, I'm not saying they get it free. They can pay for it, but I think
exactly. You just need to vary what is available. Like, that's
correct.
I mean, even just have salad for the kebabs would be a start, wasn't it? Like, just some of that pickled cabbage to make sure for the kebabs is an improvement. Like, let's get something green on there.
Bobsy, I'm not sure if Luke is officially sponsored, but he does have meal preps come in for him every week, and he plans out what he has on a match day, and not just a match day, but in life. It's like, right, there's if I'm not playing, there's my meals. If I am playing, he may vary it up and like carbs and so on for energy and stuff like that. But yes, he does meal prep his day. So, and I think that is progressively, naturally the next step, and should be the next step for the sport as well. Like you say, if we want to get it to a level where we want the sport to be.
Yeah,
but it was just interesting to see Basil let rip.
Always interesting to hear from Barry, isn't it? Always.
It's never a dull moment, is there?
Oh no, we don't want one either.
Ryan Searle wins his customary Pro Tour today. He always wins one a year. It's fact. It does happen.
Yep. And not only that, but like, again, keeps himself, just puts it, keeps that little distance away, keeps himself solid in the top 12. Ryan Searle's always going to be all right for everything, isn't he? Like, he's not at risk of anywhere. Doesn't have to worry about his ranking, doesn't have to worry about qualifying for things. But he just, what it is though for Ryan is it's just consistently producing good performances, and that's that's what's most important, I think, about this win. Is it's the players that he's beaten along the way. It's interesting, the local derby in the semi-final, that victory over Gary Anderson, and that I think is more important for Ryan than, if you like, than actually winning the, sort of winning the title, if you're, winning the day, is just that practice of beating people and being in a habit of beating people and beating people that he's going to play on telly and just because he sometimes, he'll bump into Gary again and they'll be practicing, and that'll, it's nice to have one over him, isn't it, in a proper competitive game. So yeah, great. We love seeing Ryan do well. So yeah, really good result from today. I think, is the bigger story.
I was about to say,
You go on, then you do. You can do the big story.
At one point, it felt like 2014-15 again. We had Raymond van Barneveld and Peter Wright playing well and winning games on a Pro Tour.
Luke Littler not there. Luke Littler wasn't winning something. It felt like the olden days.
Barney and Pete, they played some good stuff in spells today.
Yeah, I mean, again, it's one of them, innit? If you'd have said, 50% of your quarterfinal lineup is Peter Wright and Alan Suter and Barry Keane, and Barry Keane will average up 105. What? Where did this come from? But this is the joy of the Pro Tour, isn't it? This is what we like. We love the, the floor side of the game, like really super runs from Peter. I mean, it was great with Peter to a point, and then he went out with a bit of a whimper, and again you look through.
My gut is he ran out of steam.
Yeah,
in a long time.
You look back and it's sort of it's average. His mean average is still not quite 90. He's been, I think, and it seems a bit harsh. And I'm a big Peter Wright fan, but I think he's been fortunate today that he hasn't had a lot coming back at him when he's played all right. But you've still got to, you have to beat who's in front of you, and you have to win your matches, and you have to hit the doubles. But yeah, I think he's got away with one when you look at his opponents averaging 83, 86, 89. He hasn't had a lot coming back at him. But good to see him go deep, and yeah, hopefully he can build on that. But yeah, really big days for Alan Suter and Keane Barry. I think we saw Dobie and Anderson obviously go deep, but that's not really news. It's not really a surprise. But yeah, I think Keane Barry played some really, really top darts today, and won well. Did really well against Stephen Bunting. Superb against Jeffrey Sparridans, and just narrowly missing out to Alan Suter. And Alan Suter making a final is
played well
as well. Great to see. Great to see Alan turning up and playing at that level. And there's, as we talked loads, haven't we, about races to various different events and people trying to get themselves in. Alan Suter's now $2,000 off going to the match play. That is a very, very achievable goal now for Alan Suter. Alan Suter can go to the match play. Probably can. Probably will. And that didn't look for some time like it was going to be particularly likely. So yeah, big day today. Interesting day tomorrow as well.
Yeah, a couple of other bits off the Pro Tour today. Congratulations to James Wade winning his 1,000th game on the Pro Tour. That is ridiculously mental.
That's unbelievable, and it should be
a Premier League conclusion
with something. Yeah, no, it should be there. No, we want 2. We want 2,000. Yeah,
that is a remarkable stat.
It's an unbelievable stat, and it should be marked. I would genuinely like to see something made of that. Perhaps the next time that we're on TV at an event where James Wade is, which, if the world was a fair place, would be in Manchester on Thursday, but it's not. So perhaps the next time we're on TV with James Wade, somebody should be marking that. And it's a phenomenal stat. It really is. And he should be given something to mark it.
Will Littler qualify for the players? Nope, because he won't do any Pro Tours this year. So no, he won't be in Minehead. This question, I'm going to ask you this question. This was asked on the stream today. It was based on James Wade, and I want to see what your first thought is. In many people's eyes, James Wade is the best player never to win a world title.
Yes.
Who is the second best player never to not win a world title?
Oh man.
Chat room, if you weren't on the live stream, you can get involved as well.
James Wade could be the top 5 himself. I think that's a really difficult question. Because, and I'll tell you, and I'm not going to swerve it. I will come up with something, but the difficulty in that question is that James has been the best player to not win a world title for such a long time, like a huge length of time. Again, like the stat we were referring to earlier, that it's very, very different. Everybody else, you're almost looking for, you're looking at peaks in their career. You know, you're looking at like, so then you can look at what are the other things.
I think there's a very, very obvious answer, and this was mine straight away. Johnny Clayton.
Oh,
He's won the Premier League, the World Cup twice, the World Series finals, the Grand Prix. His CV is littered with majors apart from the Worlds.
Did he, though, operate in a time? No, probably not. When the only thing with that is maybe Johnny hasn't won a match play, has he?
But controversially, myself, I am ruling out Terry Jenkins, Dave Chisnell straight away. If you haven't, in my opinion, if you haven't won a PDC TV title, you can't be above someone that has. If you haven't won anything, you can't be the best person not to win a world title when you haven't won a TV title.
It's Whitlock's European Championship count.
Yeah.
Could you have Whitlock?
Whitlock was spoken about earlier.
Whitlock's in the conversation.
Don't get me wrong, like Terry Jenkins is a fabulous player, but the fact he never won a TV title over people that have won TV titles.
I think the only thing with Johnny, I haven't got an argument against it. Like I haven't got a coherent, sensible argument against it. And the only thing that I can say is that when did Johnny get his tour card? 2018?
No, it's before that.
17?
We'll have to look now.
I'm trying to think when Johnny got his tour card. Was it 17 or 18?
I'm just looking.
I don't think he's done 10 years yet. That's the short point I'm trying to make. Is I'm not sure that he's done 10 years yet.
You are wrong. Johnny Clayton won his tour card in 2015.
Bugger off, did he?
Yeah.
Right. Okay, so he has done 10 years then. Do you know? Right. Do you know what? I'll have him.
I think Wade's top. There's no question about that. For me, James Wade is the best player never to have won the Worlds.
Are you only counting? So what? The other question I'm going to have is what counts and what doesn't.
Well, that's up to you.
Because then I'm toying with whether or not Glenn's in the list.
Funny enough, we had this conversation on stream as well, and I put him in there, and everyone was like, he won 3 world titles. I was like, listen to what Glenn says. Glenn's in it, and this is Glenn's own words. This isn't me picking holes. In Glenn's own words, he doesn't class himself. He never calls himself a world champion. He calls himself a 3-time Lakeside champion, to the point where this is how much he's thought about it. On his shirt, he won't have gold stars. He has silver stars because they're only Lakesides.
Yeah, I think Glenn's in the. I think he's got to be in the conversation.
In his look, I'm not saying that's right, by the way, but in Glenn's opinion, he doesn't class them as.
I'll tell you who's got to be. Do you know who else has got to be in the conversation, right? Whether or not you have him in, and I feel like we're moving towards a top 5 here, but I'll tell you, if you look at longevity, and in terms of like, as in being able, being able to do it for 13, 14, 15 years at the real top level, then you'd have to include Wazza in the list.
Yeah, we spoke. Was one that we mentioned.
Like he's up
this
in the top,
along with
he's
Rod
definitely in the top
Harrington, Colin
5.
Lloyd were in there as well.
I think for me, of that batch of players, I think Wazza's he's definitely in the top 5. I think the major finals that he was in, that he was a runner-up in, like, he's unlucky because who he had to play. Like, this is the difficulty. Like, and he's had to play Phil at Phil's absolute peak, but he had a sustained time as world number 1, and he was consistently very, very, very good. 2-time runner-up, match play winner, and runner-up in the Grand Prix. Loads of quarters and semis in the World Championships. I think was like a comfortable top 5. Along, I think Wade.
Well, he's been released. He's out of the swimming pool, everyone. He's out the pool when he's got his phone back.
I used to swim. Won a few county backstroke titles. Thank you. That's what they call it where you from, is it? They call it something different. They call it something different in Teesside, mate. The old county backstroke, eh? Yeah, I picked it. I thought you'd be a backstroke man rather than a breaststroke man.
But no, it was a real interesting debate that sparked. Like I said, Warren, everyone like their opinion, but I personally can't put Mervyn King in mine because he never won a PDC or a TV title. So
going in 3, 2, 1.
Hi Jolliffe, thanks for being in the Barney Army.
Good evening.
So yeah, no, I just thought it was interesting. Is the thing. I really did. I think it was an interesting debate that everyone associates James Wade as the best, but he was number 2. It was
Yeah, I'll have Johnny. I'll take that. I'll take Johnny with Glenn, Wazza, and a TBC in the top 5.
Trying to think, what else have we missed in a week of darts? Because last week seemed to.
I've missed a lot in a week of darts. I missed a lot in a month of darts, to be honest with you. I have made a serious commitment to myself to participate in the enjoyment of darts more this week. I've been tuned out a little bit, but I'm tuning back in.
Does this mean that we're going to get down on a fallout bar this week?
Oh, it's almost become a bit of a it's become a bit of a stigma this year, hasn't it? Like, because I've not actually made
the fallout bar's Dan's baby, yet we haven't seen him on it.
Yeah, and it's not great, folks. It's sort of, yeah, for the longest time I feel, and then I feel a bit tight because it sort of became like, my show, and then eight weeks in I've not been on it, and then I don't want, the lads have been doing such a good job that I don't want to I feel like I could maybe come on as a pundit. That's where I'm at the minute. I don't want to ruin this.
Chaz Barstow won at the Super Series, and it's been very well documented that Chaz had major heart surgery in the last year, and he seems to be rediscovering that form where he got to the PDC World Championships and played well against MVG and so on. So it's good to see Chaz back playing and back to full health as well, which is good.
And the Owl, a good week for the Owl down there as well.
It's all that's what we expect from Richie Howson, though, isn't it?
Solid, isn't it? Absolutely solid.
Just know what you're going to get.
We had some challenge tour as well, didn't we?
Yeah. Derek Coulson won one of them. Shock. He could win a Pro Tour this year.
Mate, he's like, it's no secret, and it's no secret how much of a fan I am of Derek, right? But two sides of that as well. He's a really, really top dart player, but a really nice fella as well. If anyone who's lucky enough to spend a bit of time with him knows that he's a really nice fella, he really likes this. Like really, like he really likes the darts, and he likes being a dart player, and he's just so bloody good at it. Sits now second on that Challenge Tour order of merit. Like, top 2 get a tour card, top 3 for the World Championship. Like, there is a serious opportunity now. And I know it's early in the season. He's
probably going to go to Minehead as well.
Yeah.
Because he's going to be in all the Pro Tours.
There's
he's
a
going to be top up.
Serious chance that we then see Derek Coulson at Alexandra Palace. And I am all for that. If he makes it, I'll be making a pilgrimage. I'll be traveling down, I think, from up here to see it, because, yeah, what a cool story that would be, and what a deserving achievement as well.
To be fair, the last couple of weeks we haven't had time for question time, so we've got 4 minutes or so. Fire your questions in. We haven't done one proper for ages.
No, we've had too much to talk about, haven't we? Too many brilliant guests.
Well, you know.
You got some stuff in the pipeline. I know you might not reveal them just. You reveal your cards just yet, but
no. There's a couple of people that I'm talking to that have said yes, but it's trying to find a date that works for all, and so on.
Well, unfortunately, I'd expected not to be on the show for the next couple of weeks, because I was supposed to be heading over to the Land of Sand. I was due to be in Dubai for a period of time, and thanks to the Donald, that's gone down the shit till later in the year. So yeah, well, I should have been absent for the next 2 weeks, and I you lucky guys, I'm going to be here. Thanks to Donald Trump.
Richard Laurie came on a couple of weeks ago. Liam, you missed it. James says, pick 5 outsiders for a match play spot. Oh,
right. So, as in not currently in the qualification.
As in not currently in.
Right. 5. So, I'll tell you who I think's going to get there. Rob Cross, too good to not make it. There's some shite above him. Rob Cross, Raymond van Barneveld, just to annoy Jala. Callan Ridge, Kim Hybrex, been playing all right lately. One more from outside. Where will it come from? Be around there somewhere. Ricardo Pietresco.
Right, I'm chucking in a couple of proper rogue ones.
Go on then.
James Hurrell.
Playing well
Crystal
enough.
Reyes.
Yes, agreed. Yeah.
Keane Barry.
Mm-hmm.
Callum Ridds and Alan Suter is my 5.
There you go. Yeah, I don't dislike any of that.
Who wins the Pro Tour tomorrow? Gary Anderson. If in doubt, go for Gary.
Why is he asking about next week? What's happening on Monday?
That's the point. We were waiting to see whether you were flying or not, because remember the European Tour is Saturday, Sunday, Monday. So are we going to go Tuesday with the live lounge, or are we going to combine 2 streams?
Oh, right. Well, like I say, that shouldn't have been any of my business.
Correct.
But
that's why we were waiting to see whether you
started firing missiles at my holiday destination. I'm going to I'm going to be around. 6 and 2 3s to me, because like I say, I'm off. I am off work. I'm going to be putting a new floor down in our living room. Mrs. S has got some DIY planned for what should have been a nice, relaxing holiday. So,
right. If that's the case, then we will live lounge on Tuesday next week, so we don't clash with the European Tour, and I will stream the European Tour as normal, and then we will live lounge on Tuesday. How does that sound, everyone?
I think that's a cracking. I mean, we're giving them so much more. What about a double Phil and Dan watch along? That could very, very well happen.
That could that could be a thing.
I tell you what, for the evening session, I tell you what, if I put my graft in during the day and I get that
selection day, you can put some graft in with Mrs. S as well and get it signed off.
Well, by Monday, the old flooring will be up. That'll be in the skip. I'll be flying by then.
You'll
And it'll be time for a...
You'll have Mr. Spellman in the house.
Oh, there we go.
Mr. Spellman, would you potentially be about Tuesday night?
Ah, of course, yes.
Would you potentially be around Tuesday evening? You could come and join me in the studio, and we could have an extra guest.
That would be fun.
Oh, there he is.
There we go. I tell you what,
I will be in touch.
It's becoming a second home for the North Americans. This stream, isn't it? We had the suits on earlier, didn't we? We had the the hierarchy. But let's stick with the players. Let's keep it real.
I like that. We'll be in touch. So potentially there might be 4 of us. Oh, I like that. Right.
I do like that.
I'll give you a shout and we will sort out times.
Mega. Hey, you might be able to get him to have a little chuck on that board in the studio as well if he's got some free time.
Oh, this could work. This could work. Love it. Everyone, thank you so much for all the support on the live line this evening. Thank you very much to our 3 guests, Mr. Scott Hunt from the ADC, and of course, our friends from across the pond, Peter Citera and Anthony Eugenia. It is always a pleasure. This will be available as an audio only in the morning from all good podcast providers. If you haven't yet, make sure you smash that like and subscribe button. It is a busy time coming up. Stream tomorrow. Stream Wednesday for the qualifier. Premier League Fallout Bar on Thursday. Streaming Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. Nowhere else, and I repeat, nowhere else has you covered like this, apart from here at Online Darts. So if you haven't, that deserves a little subscribe. I've been Phil Bars, Dan Simpson, us signing off, and Jala from a swimming pool somewhere in London. Bye!